great Indian teacher, Sandideva, in his very famous text, Bodhisattva Way of Life. How many of you heard about this text? Very good. Bodhisattva Way of Life. Amazing book on ethics, written in the 8th century. This one, yeah. Bodhisattva Way of Life. There are at least, I've seen 4 or 5 different translations. This is published by my institute. So this text says, having found this precious human life with leisure and opportunity, if I don't make my mind habituated with virtuous ones, there cannot be anything more deceiving than this. There cannot be anything more ignorant than this. Having found this precious human life, if I don't make my mind habituated with good practices, there cannot be anything more ignorant, more deceiving than this. As I was saying the other day, this is the time to make the human life really special than from other animals. I also mentioned that eating, sleeping, producing babies, animals also do. I'm not saying this is wrong, because there will be no Buddha, no Bodhisattva without baby. I'm not saying this is wrong, but what I'm saying is we should not just be limited to these activities. Use this amazing treasure box of intelligence and brain, where you can put, I don't know how many, not megabyte, gigabyte, even more than terabyte. You see, these days we pay a lot of money. Oh, this is, 1,000 gigabytes, 1,000 terabytes. Wow! Not knowing that your brain can put much, much more than that. Even if you think from that point of view, you can see how precious our life is. Right? So build the temple in your brain. Keep the knowledges of these teachings in your brain. Make it part of your life. So that wherever you go, you have those teachings, you have those temples. You don't need to carry a heavy, luggage. Right? So it's important. Now the need to make one's mind habituated with the positive qualities is important, because we want not only happiness, we want
lifetime happiness.
Long-lasting happiness, which we agreed. Only problem was we did not sign. I'll make you sign, saying that I want not just happiness, long-lasting happiness. So what obstructs long-lasting happiness is negative emotions, about which we are going to read, I think, tomorrow. The negative emotions are rooted in ignorance. So we need to uproot ignorance. That is our greatest job. Many of these things, unfortunate things that is happening in today in the world is ignorance. Because if ignorance, you make all these divisions. Then in the name of this religion, that religion, you are killing, each other. So stupid, so, unfortunate, so sad. because of this killing in Pahalgam, 28 people were killed, innocent travelers, tourists were killed. Now both the countries are flexing their muscle. We'll fight. Very unfortunate. And in today's world, unfortunately, I have not seen many leaders or countries who, when there is a risk, a problem, who would come and say, let us try to solve this through discussion, through the dialogue. Immediately both of them just start jumping the ground, criticizing, I will eliminate you. And then the people also get emotional. Inko marnaji, karnaji, do this, do that, kill them. This is where we are living. The Buddhist teachings say, you don't have to kill people, they will die. So similarly, we can say you don't have to create suffering, they are already suffering. Everybody has suffering. And if you sit down and talk a little bit, in the beginning it looks nice. Hello, how are you? I'm very well, thank you so much. Okay, then sit down and talk. Then gradually they have lots of problems, difficulties. And I was able to see this so clearly several years back when the Tibetan Medical Institute, I was then a student in the Institute of Buddhist Dialectics, which is near the temple right now. I was a student. Then the secretary of that medical institute requested me to travel to all the 4 Scandinavian countries to translate the doctor. So when she requested me, there were already 3-4 months. So I thought that I can do, because Tibetan medicine is very much related to Buddhism. And still there are 3-4 months, I will memorize some of the technical medical terms. I said, okay. So when I went there, then these people from the Scandinavian countries, they are coming for medicine, coming for consultation with the Tibetan doctor. So in the beginning, when they enter the room, they all look healthy, they don't look sick. The ladies with the bag hanging on their head and with this nice shoes, and then gentlemen also like that, they come. It looks, everything is okay. But when they sit down before the doctor diagnoses the pulses, the urine, things like asks questions. Almost everybody has, I don't know how many, 5-6 problems. This is the thing, you see. So there is nobody. And then we are going to talk about this later on also when we talk about the fundamental truth. Then the suffering that we are obvious, we know, we talk about right now, is only the obvious suffering. We don't even know the more conditioned suffering. And unfortunately we take those unconditioned suffering as happiness and go after it, as if buying more suffering, more problem. And this is there, these different levels of suffering are there because something is basically wrong. Something basically wrong means the life that you got is projected by negative emotions and contaminated karma. So you have this body, which is fragile, which is susceptible to all kinds of illnesses, sicknesses. So what will you expect much, Because the body itself is like, it's not made of stone, it's not made of diamond, It's made of flesh and bone, all the fragile parts. But this is not to say that the life is bad, body is bad. I'm not saying that. I'm just talking about the reality. But this same fragile body and the same fragile mind, used properly, you can become Buddha. You can become Bodhisattva. You can become source of inspiration and happiness for many, many people. And again, Chandideva in his text he mentions Misang Lindemani Geveku, Rinjin Dame or Guruna, Chanchu Simsi Tensu. That means you have obtained this impure body. But through spiritual practice, you can change it, transform it into the body of the Buddha, which is, extremely precious. And that transformation is possible if you cultivate that bodhicitta, the wish to become Buddha for the benefit of all sentient beings. Then this very body becomes the body of Bodhisattva. Right? So therefore, we should, right in the beginning, consider ourselves fortunate to be able to listen to the teaching of the Buddha, spend time, contemplate on it, consider that very, very fortunate. Because billions of people don't have such opportunity. They are completely occupied with something else. And then there are millions and millions of people who have no time for such things. You don't have to go very far. You go to some of the smaller towns and big cities. If you go to Delhi, there are people, they're really just to get this little amount of food and money. They have to work like a donkey, day and night. This you can see if you travel in one of these metros, you'll immediately see some of these, workers who must have spent a sleepless night in a factory or something like that. The moment they enter into the metro, they just sleep like this. So day in and day out, they have to spend their life like this. Forget about spiritual practices, things like that. So we have this very special privilege. And we should develop the motivation that having obtained this special privilege, not only we should not be satisfied by just understanding a little bit of the meaning and getting a little bit of more information, but whatever you are able to imbibe and whatever you are able to retain and get, cherish it, nurture it, and then practice it so that you are able to help few more people. And this is how we can bring about some change in the world. So that should be the motivation. Right? Right? So, what should I do now? I read the book. I forgot my eyeglass. I hope if I put it a little bit far away, I can manage. So yesterday we were on this page 62, right? Page 62. The different ways of the 10 paths of action. And then also we did not resolve this preceding paragraph. The actual path of the actual path of negative actions. We had a question there, we could not resolve it. Then I said I will go back, do my homework, read some of the big books. And I found like 5-6 big books I had. But most of them didn't even mention this part. For example, this is also pretty good, middle length stages of the path. This didn't even mention this part. Then I consulted the bigger one, great stages of the path. It did mention, but there's no description, just whatever is here, it is there. Then there are 2-volume big, what we call as the annotations on the stages of the path. So I checked there I found something. But basically, just by thinking, I was able to understand what it is talking about. So I wanted to confirm it, but it was like heavy book, so I did not try to bring that heavy book. I took a photo of it, so I'll explain that to you. So, unfortunately, I'm not able to do it. So basically what he is saying is that when, for example, when the text says, for each of the 10 negative actions to become truly negative, there must be a basis, the intention, an actual action, and finally a consummation stage of each. Right? I'm dealing this, the actual path of negative action. Killing, harsh words, and harmful intent are initiated by the 3 afflictive emotions and are completed by hatred. Okay, now that is the point. So that means killing may be due to attachment, meaning that you want meat, so you kill. You want money, you kill. Then killing may be due to hatred. For example, in the battlefield, you hate your enemy and kill. Then killing may be ignorance, due to ignorance. Ignorance means some people might say, some teachers might say, okay, killing in general is very bad, but if you kill scorpions, if you kill snakes, it's okay, because they harm you. So that is an example of killing with ignorance. So killing, harsh word and harmful intent are initiated by the 3, any of this, it can be not necessarily all the 3 together, initiated by any of the 3 afflictive emotions and are completed by hatred. Killing is you dislike. So finally, because of this disliking, it's completed, finished by hatred. Harsh also, because you hate, use harsh word. Harmful intent also, you hate. So it's completed by this. So that explains everything with the rest of also. The situation is same. Okay? It's not so difficult. Now we go to the next one, different weights of action. This is 2 parts. The first is different weights of the 10 parts of action. Weight means, we have difficulty finding the right English word here. Here also they use the weight, then others also use the weight, but I am not so sure. Basically it's saying how heavy the karma will be. Heaviness and lightness of the 10 parts of action. There are 5 different ways of weighing negative actions. If an act is heavy in terms of thought, for example, it could become heavy in terms of your thinking, meaning this means that the agent was possessed by, agent or the person was possessed by intense afflictive emotions, very strong. There's no other way just to, but to kill that person. Very strong, right? If it is heavy in terms of action, then the agent takes satisfaction and joy in committing the act themselves or in inciting others to do it. So then you use gun or knife, whatever, you yourself use it. Okay? Heavy in terms of action. You don't just think, but you do it. And if you are unable to do it, give money and send some other people to do it. This is what is happening today everywhere. Heavy in terms of having no remedy means that the agent has not only killed that person, but has no regret. Instead, he will rejoice. Wonderful, I have eliminated him. Has no regret regarding the act and takes no joy in virtuous deeds. There are people like that, see? That's why I was saying you are fortunate, we are fortunate. There are people who not only do bad things, but who has no interest at all with this kind of good virtuous practices. If you meet such people, they say, what are you talking about? Bodhisattva, Bodhicitta, wasting your time. Make money. Make money. Money speaks. Bodhicitta doesn't speak. And people do things like that because they have no knowledge, they don't have long-term, short-term vision, understanding, they really have no idea of what it means to be happy, to be harmonious. So they go for immediate satisfaction, pleasures. The majority of people, whether they say it or not, they follow this kind of thinking. You see, that's the problem. No interest at all. Heavy in terms of preferring wrong views means that the agent does not consider the 10 non-virtuous deeds to be wrong. You kill, you tell lies, it's okay, so long as I'm able to get money. And today it is rampant. If you go for shopping, I'm sorry to say, most of the shopkeepers are lying all the time. Most of the business people, shopkeepers, whoever, they're lying all the time, wherever you go. Because they have to make profit, and then they have to tell all the lies, this is the best commodity, this is there, and you won't get it except here, things like that. Telling lie all the time, and it's become a normal thing for them. They will tell lie with a straight face. And those of us who are not used to it, that even if we try to tell lie, it is reflected on our face. We hesitate. But you will not be able to know that they are telling lie. They are so trained in that. Heavy in terms of preferring wrong views means that the agent does not consider the 10 non-virtuous deeds to be wrong. Stealing. Okay, we'll do it later on maybe. Let me say, your way. So killing means taking other people's life. Not only people, even insects. Try not to kill them unnecessarily. Right? Some of us will say, I don't kill human being because it's not easy to kill human being. It's not easy to kill human being, in a sense, because of the law and other things. It's very easy to kill insects and animals, birds, so therefore we don't hesitate killing them. The reason that you should not kill is every sentient being, everybody likes to live. Everybody, all types of insects, birds, they all want happiness. And there are some whose life, which of the sentient beings have the shortest life? Which one?
There is a type of butterfly who lives 24 hours.
Exactly, we have this. I recently, very pathetic, because they just come flying, and then the wings break, then they crawl, and around the end of the day, they're all dead. 24 hours only. It happens around this time. It just happened a few days back, around the library, so many of them. Then even the monkeys come to eat them. You see? So there may be others who live even shorter, you see. So why don't you let them live? And which of the sentient beings live longest?
Turtle.
Turtle. What about jellyfish?
Trees. Trees.
Sentient beings. Is jellyfish sentient being? Jellyfish said to live millions of years, but have no brain, no nervous system. Something to think about. What?
No stress, right?
Yes. Yeah. Heavy in terms of the being that is the basis of the act means that the act was committed against the agent's parents. If you kill your parents, it's more heavy because they are kind to you. And if you kill, say your teachers, your parents, those they are close to, or the learned ones and teachers who have been kind to you, then If you kill them, it's heavy karma. And heavy in terms of substance, that was the basis of the act, means that the act involved good and numerous substances, inferior and poor substances, or those things that have been offered to the three jewels. Substance. Act involved good and numerous substances. In order to kill that person, you use all kind of substances, bad quality. For example, if you supply adulterated food to kill that person, looks like food, but when that person eats it, he dies. Then also those things that have been offered to the Buddha, Dharma and Sangha, or what belongs to others. It's really kind of theft, right? The powerful actions in brief. Okay, so killing and the sexual misconduct. Did we read about this already? A little bit? Huh?
No.
Not so much? I thought I saw it somewhere. It's maybe coming later.
Yes, sir.
It will come later, yeah, I think, yeah.
I have a question about killing before we move on to the next subject.
Uh,
I have a question about killing before we move on to the next subject.
yeah.
So if we take, for example, a thought experiment, which is not so abstract, it's played out many times throughout history, probably now and probably in the future. But we take, for example, there have been, kings and emperors, etc., who have falsely imprisoned innocent people, who have tortured them, maybe en masse, and anyone who tries to use language or logic or compassion to convince this emperor to release these people, or at least stop doing what he's doing in terms of torturing, is themselves tortured or killed. Let's just say you are a sniper marksman or an arrow, a person with a bow and arrow, and the only way to stop this person from torturing these innocent people is to take out this person. You're not doing it with hate, you're doing it out of compassion for the innocent, but also out of compassion for the person committing these crimes, recognizing they are trapped in their ignorance. To me, it seems there is a justified action that could be taken as long as it's done without hate and anger.
Yes. Theoretically, yes. Theoretically, yes, you are permitted to do that. But then practically speaking, you really have to be one who really has that pure motivation to help, those people and also to help that person. That has to be there. Then in the case of teachers like Buddha, in his lifetime, he converted many of these, violent kings and robbers. Through his teaching, through his behavior, he was able to convert them, become kind, become gentle, like Angulimala, like Angulimala. And there were other kings also which he greatly converted. So the problem today is we don't have a Buddha. And unfortunately we don't even have many people who are as tall as Mahatma Gandhi or His Holiness the Dalai Lama or even Mother Teresa. How many are there these days? The good people are there, of course. What I'm saying is, do we have really, really committed, big, compassionate guys? Unfortunately, not so many, to my knowledge. That's the problem. But prevention is better than cure. So we need long-term vision for all this, and education is the solution. So right in the beginning we should come up with a society, with a system of education, so that there is no room for breeding this kind of, evil people. Because they are born in the society, right? Born in a particular surrounding. So we should create a society where many kind, good people are nurtured, not evil, bad people are nurtured or encouraged. That's the long-term solution. But it's not easy because those who rule, they don't pay attention to these things. So I don't think Hitler also, when he was a child, he was very bad right from the beginning. Mao Zedong also very bad right from the birth. I don't think so. It is the situation, many things. So the long-term solution is education. It is better to deal with the spark before it becomes a forest fire, as we say. So that's it. Theoretically, what you are saying is right, because Buddha actually practiced this in his life. He was once traveling in a boat with 500 merchants, business people, who are going to the sea to collect precious minerals and gems. So among them there was one person who plotted to kill all of them so that he is able to collect all the precious gems and minerals. And Buddha knew about this. Buddha means one of his past lives. He knew about this and he killed that person. As you rightly mentioned, to save him from committing this negative deed and also save the rest of the merchants there. So there is a story like that. But to do that you need to be really, really sincere, really, really honest, unbiased. Okay? Theoretically possible. And similarly, if we take this point to the so-called mercy killing, euthanasia, also theoretically speaking possible. But then how can you judge that person now in coma? His mind is clear, not clear. He's doing some practice, not practice. You can't judge the body, So difficult, not easy, not easy. Okay? Then the powerful actions in belief. Actions that are powerful in terms of the object. This refers to crimes against the three jewels. Our teachers, those that are like our teachers, our parents and so forth. Any act committed to such as these, even without strong intention, be it small or great, negative or positive, will bring great merit or demerit accordingly. Because of the object. Now, for example, if you do say something very negative or even small negative thing against His Holiness Dalai Lama, then you will, commit more negative deed than having similar attitude to me or to some other person. Why? Not because he is famous, because he is helping so many people. He is source of happiness and benefits so many people. So for such a precious person, if you do any small thing or big thing negative, the result will be very, very extreme. So that's why on few occasions I hinted this to the Chinese torturers. Because they are oblivious, they don't believe in law of causality, so they don't hesitate in saying all the nasty things against His Holiness Dalai Lama. Dalai Lama is the wolf in the sheep's cloth, sheep in the wolf's cloth. Then what? He is the counter-revolutionary. All the bad things they've been saying. But His Holiness said, okay, let them say. Let them say, no problem. Right? So similarly, if you do even a small service, small thing, His Holiness doesn't need money, he's not waiting for money. But if you practice what he taught, that is very important practice. So that practice also has much more positive result than ordinary activities. Actions that are powerful in terms of basis. Actions that are powerful in terms of basis, just as a small bit of iron will sink in water while a vessel made of iron, however big it may be, will float over the surface. The deeds performed by the unlearned and learned ones will bring variant in the strength of the result. So that means if you know the Dharma, You knowing the Dharma doesn't mean you will not do anything wrong. But because you know the Dharma, and when you commit something, you do something wrong and commit a mistake, you know I committed mistake, then you also know how to purify it. So therefore the negative things done by a learned person, even though it's negative, but the result will be lighter because you know how to purify it, how to not repeat it. But if you are not learned, then you don't know how to. Number one, you are not cognizant of the wrong things that you are doing. Number two, you don't know how to purify it. So the negative deeds committed by such people with no knowledge, the result will be heavy. The example that given here is an iron ball. If you put it in the water, it will immediately go down to the depth of the sea, depth of the ocean. But the same iron ball, if you flatten it and put it on the surface of water, it will not go down, it will float. Is this true? Is this true? Okay, now I'll tell you a very nice joke. So you are saying that let us say, okay, I'll ask this question. Which one is heavier? 1 kilo of iron or 1 kilo of cotton? Same. Okay, you just stand down. I'll first throw the 1 kilo of iron on your head, then 1 iron of cotton on your head. Which one is heavier? This is a silly joke.
We're talking about quantity, not so much weight.
Yeah, exactly. This is a silly joke. So sometimes, to be happy, you need to be silly sometimes. Don't be too serious. For small things, you laugh and smile. That's important. This interesting joke, actually. Okay, right? The ignorant ones are like a bee stuck on a snotty nose that cannot pull free. They cannot be rid of even a small transgression. Without any regret, they will not be able to take any positive action. They do not try to correct their mistakes, and the virtues they have formally accumulated are overcome by the dirt of non-virtuous deeds to the extent that they become fruitless. These beings will be born in the deepest hell. Hell is not necessarily a place where you go. It is basically a state of your mind. And this is something that we normally say when you are really having big problems. Oh, this, I'm in the hell. That's what we say, right? So hell and heaven is a state of your mind. When your mind is completely removed all the negative emotions, that's called heaven or nirvana. When the mind is full of negative emotions and problems, difficulties, that is called hell. Right? For the learned ones who regret their wrongdoings, resolve to change and confess their transgression. So that means if you are really concerned about how to purify negative deeds, the most important thing is you should confess. Yes, I made a mistake. And I will not repeat this again. Not only confessing, but you should say, I will not repeat this again. This is like saying, I made a mistake of taking poison. I'm now about to die, so I'm not going to take poison again. Now, to do that, you need to see that the poison as poison. Now, the problem with us is, if I put a glass of poison here, and then ask you, okay, have you seen the label, you read this is real poison. Okay, I have it in the glass. Anybody wants to drink? Nobody. Why?
Because we want long-lasting happiness.
Because you want long-lasting happiness, and this poison is going to kill you. Right? Now with the point that I'm making is, in the Buddhist text, it says clearly 3 poisons, which are ignorance, attachment, and anger or hatred. We call them 3 poisons. But do you really recognize them as poisons? No. Therefore we commit this again and again. This, we know a little bit, it is destructive, but you don't have the conviction. This is really right poison going to kill you. So therefore you need to study, contemplate, and develop the conviction that they are more destructive than a poison. A poison can only kill you physically, but these negative emotions can torture you and kill you for many lives to come. The poison may kill you personally, but not necessarily all your family who has not taken their poison. But these negative emotions, when you have this, not only it will, trouble you, but it will trouble everybody, the family members and the rest of the people, right? Very bad poison. Now with this three poison, for example, okay, we'll explain this later also. Okay. For the learned ones who regret their wrongdoings, resolve to change and confess their transgressions, if they try to remedy their mistakes, then the consequences are lighter for them. The merit accumulated by an ardent bodhisattva monk through offering a butter lamp in front of a stupa is said to be far greater than what would be accumulated if all sentient beings of the three realms embraced on the path of the great wisdom, and if the kings of the great empire each offered butter lamps in vessels as big as oceans with the wicks the size of the Mount Meru to the stupa. This is such a long sentence. I have to because in the Tibetan style of things, they are very long. So if you try to stick that to that and then translate it, it becomes like this. So since this is translated into English, you should make it look like English. Right? Because in English you have commas and colons and semicolons. These are all for breathing. Stop. This is very long. But what he is saying is, if you are a monk or a nun who already made so many commitments or doing many great things, because of this commitment and service and many other things, even if you do a small virtuous practice, the result will be great. Because you know, and you are knowingly doing all these practices. So similarly, in your case also, when you know the Dharma, and knowingly you do some practice with commitment, with conviction, the result will be bigger. But knowingly, with full knowledge, if you go on the wrong side, the result will be heavier. Just like a small innocent person, innocent child does something wrong, it's okay to some extent. It's forgivable. The result will be lighter. So those people who do wrong things due to lack of knowledge, it's bad. It's bad. We already mentioned they don't know how to purify things like that. But still the result will be lighter in the sense they did this due to lack of knowledge, not intentionally. But in the case of those people who are fully aware of their consequences, and then without consideration, if they commit negative deeds, then the result will be greater negative result. Okay. The demerit accumulated by an ardent monk enjoying offerings. So this is what he said. The demerit accumulated by an ardent monk enjoying offerings received through misusing the fame of the great sage for one night is far greater than that of a man who commits the 10 non-virtuous deeds, all the 10 non-virtuous deeds continuously for 100 years. These are stronger in terms of the support of the agent, in terms of the basis who commit. Right? So therefore, if you don't be careful, then in the name of being a Dharma practitioner, you may actually end up doing many, many more destructive, negative things than doing good things. Actions that are powerful in terms of substance. Giving charity to beings in the form of the doctrine and offerings or practicing his teaching is even more excellent than the giving and offering of material things to the Buddha. From this example, the rest may be understood. So that means, in terms of giving, practice of giving out of the six perfections, in terms of giving knowledge is more important than giving clothes and money. That's what he said. It is better to teach a person fishing than giving a fish, as we say. This is what he's saying here. Because if you just give fish, he will eat it and then done. Again he will be hungry. But if you teach the art of fishing, he'll be able to do water himself. This is what he's saying here. Actions that are powerful in terms of intention. Based on intention, the merit accumulated by one with the mind of enlightenment who offers a flower to a stupa of Buddha is greater than that which would be accumulated by all the sentient beings of the three great realms building a stupa the size of the Mount Meru and venerating it for 10 million years. Yes, very long again. So now, having done this great job of translating all this, if somebody really good English can redo it, it will be great.
Edited by Sharon somebody, Geshe Lhakdor and Venerable Lop Sangdanyo.
Yeah, the stupid
You
thing.
edited it.
Oh, I should not criticize because my name is because now I will challenge you. I am not an English editor, number one. What I edited was to make sure that what she translated is there. When she translated this from the Tibetan source, I made it sure that it is there. So still somebody can be employed. Yeah? All right. So where are we now? Okay. The more durable and effective negative deeds are, the greater the source of negative. So that means whether it's a positive deed or a negative deed, if you do it continuously, the result will be great. Durable means not just one day and then go. For one day you get very inspired and then almost you look like a great Buddhist practitioner. Then once you reach your home, there's no sign, nothing. The famous Tibetan teacher, Kong Thang, he says, when you for the first time come into the Dharma teaching, Buddhist Dharma teaching, you get so excited. Saying that this means in the initial stage you get so excited, you even forget having your meal, forget your food, and you study, so excited. And you want to become a learned person as soon as you have started reading or studying. Such person will not get anything. Therefore, you should make effort like a running stream. A running stream or running river runs 24 hours. It will never say it needs no night, I will stop running. So you may not be able to do exactly like a river, but it means your effort should be continuous. Why it is important to be continuous? Because unless, as I mentioned in terms of meditation, in terms of making effort also, unless you make very strong effort, you are not going to get this enemy called negative emotions. Because these negative emotions are very strongly entrenched within yourself. It is not that easy to dislodge them, dislocate them. So therefore it is really important to form positive habit with repeated practice. And the more durable, which means continuous, and afflictive negative deeds are, the greater the source of negative results. Among these, anger is particularly strong, and therefore it is stated in the Bodhisattva's way of life, whatever great merits have been accumulated over thousands of aeons through generosity, offering value, all may be destroyed by a single moment of anger. Anger is one of the most destructive negative emotions, because if you compare this to anger and attachment is also negative, but it at least says, please come closer to me, please, I love you, come closer to me. The anger says, get lost. Have nothing to do with you, you see. You're asking people to get lost. You're distancing yourself from others. So therefore it's very destructive. And especially anger is very destructive in the beginning. Something like in the beginning. Because immediately when you are angry, you immediately kill somebody, destroy somebody, distance yourself from somebody. So it's visible. For example, today in the world there are so many violent activities happening. We are more or less against it because you know it is coming out in the newspaper all the time. Right? It's coming out in the newspaper all the time. You know, so many people have been killed by a domestic missile from such and such enemy, such and such a country. So many people died, this, that. It's hitting the headlines of all the newspapers. So it's very striking. It's against our human nature. Right? It's very striking. So, of course, it's very easy to say that this is very bad, right? Opposed to this, attachment, at a first glance, doesn't look like that destructive. It says, come, be with me. I love you, right? So it looks okay, right? But in the long run, it is even more destructive. It is because of attachment we have pollution everywhere today. Attachment to material things, material greed. Because of this unchecked greed, we are destroying everything today. Water, mineral resources, forest resources, relationship. Everything is destroyed because of unhealthy relationship because of attachment and greed. So in the long run, it's very bad. Tsongkhapa, the great teacher of the Lamdala Dhyamo, he says attachment is like a drop of oil that falls on a piece of cloth. When the drop of oil falls on a piece of cloth, it just gets stuck there. So similarly, when you develop attachment to anything, your mind gets stuck there. It immobilizes you. And in fact, all these negative emotions about which we are going to read tomorrow, all these afflictive emotions. One thing, before I forget, I want to mention this. Probably I mentioned earlier also, I don't remember. Anyway, this is important. If you look at these two types of emotions, positive emotions and negative emotions. Negative emotions are not based on any logic, any reason. They have no sound basis why they should be there. Opposed to this, positive emotions have reason, logic, why you should love somebody, why you should be compassionate. There are a lot of reasons there. Right? So therefore, if you use your intellectual prowess or acumen or capacity, then you will be able to see that these negative emotions have no solid foundation, no solid basis why they should be here. Positive emotions have solid basis, solid foundation, why they should be cultivated, why they should be nurtured. Number one. Number two, negative emotions will make you narrow-minded, stupid, selfish, divisive. Positive emotions will open up, they help you open up, embrace others, help others, extend your helping hand. So if you do a little bit of research, you will find there's a huge difference between the negative emotions and positive emotions. Right? So, Therefore, with this kind of knowledge and cognizance, try to distance yourself. To start with, the first thing you need to do is, just like we fight our enemy with both the defensive and offensive way. So similarly, with the negative emotions also, you should practice both this offensive and defensive way. Right? One, you should build yourself, your spiritual practice so strong, so good, that none of these negative emotions can harm you. But in case they come, you should be ready to defend yourself. Use the weapon of bodhicitta, use the weapon of wisdom, understanding, and emptiness. So in the beginning, it is not possible for you to completely eliminate the root of these negative emotions. So at least you should not let them manifest, not let them raise their ugly head. Then gradually you should try to eliminate them by dislodging the root of the negative emotion, which is ignorance. So different kind of stages of practice must be done. The result of the negative actions. 3. Number 1, the fruitional result. The 10 paths of action based on the 3 afflictive emotions each have a grade. So result can be great, can be medium, can be small, depending upon the intensity of that positive or negative action. This means that the 10 negative actions, such as killing, can lead to beings taking rebirth as a hell being if the action is great, powerful. Probably powerful is better than great. Negative emotions can never be great. I don't know. Such as killing can lead to beings taking rebirth as hell beings. If it is medium, hungry ghost. If it is small, animal, something like that, according with the level of each of the root reflections. The causally concordant result. This is so interesting. This is really almost like scientific. Causally concordant result. The result that you will experience will be similar to the cause that you committed earlier. That's what he's saying. For example, even when born as a human being, from lower birth, for example, if you are in the lower birth and then with the change of life you're born as a human being, in the sequence of the 10 non-virtuous deeds, we will have a short life. For example, if you have committed the negative deed of killing, then in this life, as a result concording to the cause, you will have short life. Many people live very short life because, at least according to Buddhism, because they killed other people in the past lives. Of course, when you explain these things, you have to be skillful, as I mentioned earlier. If somebody lives short, he says, oh, this is the result of your past life killing, you cannot say straight away things like that. But this is what is the result. Short lifespan, and even that short lifespan filled with sickness. Some people throughout their life get sick again and again. Will have no riches, and if you have stolen, then the result is you will have no riches or no wealth in this life, and live a very common ordinary life with shortage of material facilities. And if you engage in sexual misconduct, will have impudent attendants and servants, will not be trusted, and will have to compete for a wife. There will always be rivalry, competition, and the husband and wife cannot be trusted, things like that, because of sexual misconduct. Will often be spoken badly, often deceived. This is, if you are habituated with telling lie, then in this life you will often be spoken of badly and deceived, while our readiness will be uncontrollable and bad, because nobody will listen to you. And then, because of the result of divisive talk, we'll hear evil things, and the words we speak will become the source of conflict, because you divided people in the past. not necessarily with the change of life. In this life also it happens like that. If you engage in dividing people, destroying lives, people's life, gradually you will also experience a similar thing. Will not give if you engage in gossiping, then the result will not give our word, and our speech will be inaccurate and rude. Then, if you have developed covetousness, we will be greedy and discontent. And if you have developed harmful intention, then result will be seeking harmful things and not seeking that which is beneficial. Then, because of having developed wrong view, we will harm others and be harmed by others. That is the result of the harmful intention. And finally, wrong view, and we will be ill-willed and deceitful. Third is the environment or dominant result. The killing results in as a result of killing, the environment in which you are born will also be like this. Killing results in having little sustenance, medicines and fruits. Yeah.
So there is this suffering, like every mundane happiness is suffering, right? So it's like I felt to understand.
Every mundane happiness is suffering. Who said this?
A book. The dual Montita of Tibetans. And the Buddha said that, no?
No.
The third kind of suffering.
There can be pure happinesses also.
I just don't understand, like, so money, for example. Okay, money we say is suffering, right?
Money will?
Money is suffering, right? You have a lot of things, you have a lot of problems.
Money is not suffering. Money will produce suffering. Money is money suffering? Is this building suffering?
So any benefit that we get from karma will result in suffering?
Yes, it's cause of suffering, yes. Not suffering, yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
Yes.
Talking about emotions and karma,
Yeah.
is karma internal or external? Like if you kill someone or steal, do you suffer internally in your mind?
Karma is basically internal.
Or is it, okay, but in this case you're saying you will be born with bad birth the next time?
Yeah.
Or is it more so that you will suffer as soon as you do the bad?
No,
Like
no, because it comes in the mind, then the result you are born with physical suffering, things like that.
So you have the imprints in your mind
Yeah.
because you stole or
Yeah,
killed.
yeah.
And that comes out.
That ripens. That produces fruit.
But then the question becomes like, say the Chinese took over Tibet 70 years ago. Why has the Chinese government not suffered? Or why has the president not suffered? Or where's the karma in that case?
No, I don't know whether we already did that, maybe not, will come later. The result of, when we talk about producing fruit of a negative deed, the fruit may come today, but not necessarily today. The fruit may come within 1 year, not necessarily within 1 year. It may not. The result of wrongdoing by the Chinese government may come in this very life, not necessarily. It may not. So again, we cannot say the fruit has already not come. That also we can't say. This is a very interesting topic that you asked. I have been thinking about this. Because the only problem is the Buddha said, as far as the subtlety of the result of karma is concerned, only a person like me, and only a person like me can say, not others. That means only an omniscient person can say this. For example, we all have nose, right? But all these different noses are not exactly the same. They'll be different, right? Some a little bit longer, some a little bit shorter, some a little bit protruding, whatever. So now this is the result of karma. Now if you ask the question, what particular karma group is responsible for my this kind of loss? You can't say. You can't say. So similarly, now in China, for example, although the point that I'm making is, I cannot say this is the result of these things, but this does not mean to say it is not happening there right now. For example, in China also right now, for example, they have so many problems. Only thing is everything is censored, people don't know much. But the reason that they are firing the most top Chinese generals, army leaders, many of which are appointed by him directly, just recently, within the next recent few months, they fired some of the top, number second, number third ranking Chinese armies. It's clearly showing there's a lot of problem. So there's a lot of problem there also. So this is the result of which karma? Many different karmas, many different wrongdoing. And the Tibetans also face this problem. They have to come out from their country, also definitely because of karma. So because of karma means, as I mentioned earlier, Tibetans have been doing a little bit of this practice, how sincere they are. Many are sincere, but majority are more or less blind faith. They're just following. People just follow, And then did not make any material development and progress, did not have any proper, relationship with the rest of the countries of the world. And we thought that we are surrounded by the Himalayan mountain, which is impenetrable, so we are fine. And in many cases, unfortunately, we thought we'll be defended by the Dharma protectors, the Buddha's teaching, And he did not do this needed material development, defending your border. This is the karma. The result we experience. We have to leave our country. So karma is not something vague, It's like a, external figure somewhere there manipulating. Karma is not like, karma is what you do and the result you experience in different forms. Right? Okay. Environmental or dominant results. Killing results in having little sustenance, medicine, that is also name. I think with difficulty in digestion, see, killing results in having little sustenance, medicines and fruits with difficulty in digestion, increase in sickness, leads to an early death. Stealing results in possessing very little or poor quality or not having anything at all. Sexual misconduct leads to being filthy, disordered, lowly and ugly. If you want to be handsome, beautiful, be careful. Now here I'm not talking about not having sex, okay? We are talking about sexual misconduct. It's not just Buddha's teaching. How many wars have been fought for women or for men, And then like fighting among families or wife and husband, this is the usual thing. Lying leads to unsuccessful farming and selling, see? And we will probably live in fear of deceit. Slander or divisive talk will lead to being born in mountainous, cranky places. Speaking harsh words will make one take birth in the places of thorns because you use harsh words. The result will be you're born in a place where the place is harsh. Place of thorns, broken logs and stones. Idle gossip will lead to trees not bearing fruit, roots being unstable and not lasting. Covetousness will cause the decline of all prosperity and reduce it so that it will never increase. The harmful intentions will bring numerous epidemics, harms, illnesses, robbery, violence and ferocious animals. Wrong views will lead to the decline of valuable resources around the world. So how did Buddha or who wrote this figure this out? This is very interesting. If you read Buddhism properly, you will find one level of teaching. And it happened, with me, and also many people told me this when we explained the basic Buddhist things. Oh, this is what I have been thinking for so long. It's a common sense thing. And Buddha is really talking about something that is reality and fact, nothing else. So this is a common sense thing. I agree. So you reach that level. Then you go further and further, then you reach a level, you call it transcendental, whatever you call it. Then you have no idea. For example, when you reach that level where the text explains about the five spiritual paths, 10 spiritual grounds, not only just enumerating the name, but details what you will experience on each of these spiritual paths, on each of these spiritual grounds. How are they able to explain it? They are not making it up, because they have been through this, they have cultivated those qualities. So they are sharing it to us, right? So therefore, these teachings are precious in that sense. And it is because of this special omniscient mind or clairvoyance, whatever you should say, that many of these teachings can be today tested with the scientific method of analysis, and you will find, yes, it is true. Whether you are able to practice or not able to practice, that is a different thing. But as far as the truth is concerned, they are really like gold. The real teachings, okay, make a distinction between real teachings and false teachings. Sometimes the teacher may not be qualified, so he or she might write a false, book or give a wrong teaching. This is unfortunately possible. But I'm talking about the real teaching taught by the Buddha. These are what we call as the perennial philosophy, perennial teachings. So therefore you will be able to test the flavor of these deeper teachings only when you meditate and practice it personally, not just by listening to somebody. Right? So that's important. Oh, there's one hand that is raised since yesterday, no?
Yeah.
Yes.
I was wondering, after talking about individual karma, is there also a thing as the karma of the world?
Yeah, true.
Can you explain a little bit
Yeah,
Buddhist vision on that?
probably we will be reading this later, but no problem. So when we talk about karma, we have individual karma and common karma. Common karma is something like the world karma or the karma of the society. Individual karma is your karma, my karma. That is possible because this is how we live. Sometimes we do something individually. That's karma, and then it bears fruit. Sometimes we do it in group. Sometimes we do it together as a nation. Sometimes we do it as a world, You produce the fruit. Okay? So therefore it's important, not only the individuals and nations, but the world as a whole has a process of living, positively, constructively. I think it's very, very important. Right? Because the world, if you look at all the, write-ups of the UNO, the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, and all those things, they're pretty good. They're pretty much talking about not to engage in the 10 non-virtuous actions. You see? Your question is important in that sense. That's why His Holiness the Dalai Lama these days, since some years, he has been encouraging people to come with an system of education which is not based on any particular religion. Secular ethics. These days many people don't like the word secularism, whatever be the issue, but he's talking about secular ethics or social, emotional, ethical learning. So secular ethics is, His Holiness has not coined this term. something like secular ethics was there right from the Plato and Aristotle, right from there. All great thinkers, they thought about the need to have a universally applicable ethics. This is important. It's really important because whether you believe in religion or not, or even those people who are against religion, who don't follow religion, who may be against religion, but they need some basic decency, good human qualities like love, compassion, brotherhood, sisterhood. They all need it. So His Holiness is concerned about promoting those things. And there, it should not be based on any particular religion. So there, the secular ethics should be not from top down, but from bottom up, as we say. Top down means, we should do this because Buddha said this. We should do this because it's the God's will. Not like that. Bottom up. Bottom up means based on your feeling, my feeling. Is it better that I smile at you? Or not? Things like that. Based on our personal experience, scientific finding, common sense, common evidence. Based on that, we should come up with a system of human values. So, His Holiness very strongly suggested that, and I was one of the person who His Holiness appointed in the very beginning to do something, come up with a curriculum. This is a long story. Anyway, now we have a fully functioning, program in Emory University in Atlanta. Where they have come up with a series of, textbooks. So I'm glad that you asked this question. So many of you should go to this website and see those textbooks. It's really, really important. It's not talking about America, it's not talking about China, it's not talking about a particular religion. It's talking about how should we live together as a real human being. How should we promote and develop this basic human values? So important. So important. So His Holiness has this big mission, and interestingly now many schools and universities in the West and Asia, they are teaching these subjects. So please join us in strengthening this project, not for Tibet, it's for everybody. It's very, very important. Very important. Secular ethics, yeah.
So, if the teachings
Yeah.
are kind of a law and not made up, then would it be possible, or is it really necessary to study the Dharma? Or would it also be possible, for example, if I had enough time to just go into a cave, sit there, listen, and then it will come by itself?
Yeah, good question. But you want to achieve something easily, or you want to just take your personal risk and discover everything from the scratch? because these teachings are facilitating factors, Instead of although you have similar intelligence, but you can do that also. But instead of studying just from the scratch, just using your brain as the laboratory and tool, whatever, then thinking, well, what is good for me, what is good for others, what is bad for me, what is bad for others. Start just from the beginning and then find the path leading to enlightenment or whatever you want to call it. That's the one way of doing it. But the purpose of reading such text is, it's already there. The path is already there. Enlightened beings have traveled on this path. And the Buddha said, I have shown you the path to liberation. Liberation is up to you. It's really like ready-made food. It's already there. And the unfortunate thing with us is, it's already there, ready to eat. It's already cooked. But we are not even able to eat it, taste it, thinking that, maybe not so tasty. You're looking for some other menus, Right? So it's already there. And then, instead of you studying from all over again, read this text, use your judgment, see which one makes sense, which one doesn't make sense. Right? Just like in a scientific laboratory. I think that will be easier. Just this morning I received a short message from somebody asking Geshe, is it possible that I achieve enlightenment in one lifetime? I'm yet to answer this. It is a mere possibility. Honestly speaking, it's impossible in one lifetime, generally speaking. Mere possibility, but honestly speaking, given our heavy negative emotion, given our distraction, given our stupid priorities, when it comes to doing Dharma practice, we are all like, when it comes to doing Dharma practice or doing good things, we are really like, this is what is said in the text, not me, okay, don't get offended. The text says when it comes to doing spiritual practice, we are really like a heavily loaded donkey taking uphill. Take one step and then look back. Take one step, look back. When it comes to something stupid, negative, destructive, it's really like a big boulder thrown from a steep slope of the mountain. This is not really saying not saying you are incorrigible, you are bad, anything like that, but this is the way it is. So therefore, again, because of this situation, unless we make some concerted effort, these great things that we are talking about, bodhicitta, compassion, enlightenment, nirvana, not easy, because of the situation, you see. We are always pulled in all directions by all these people and masses. They are thinking differently, doing differently. And you are one of those group where you are always waiting for, yes, you do it. No, you don't do it. You're always, waiting what other people will say. And what other people will say, they'll say only what they know. They'll say only what they know. So that means what they know. Or what they want, make money, get married, produce children. More or less like that. This is again not to say that people don't do anything good, but they do. But what I'm saying is not enough. Far from enough, because they are distracted to so many things. Even if you're sitting alone, like in my case, I live alone. But unless you make some effort, even when I live alone, it's so funny. I don't live in a big mansion, I really live in a, you will not be shocked, but you will maybe feel sorry for me. You must be thinking, oh, he's a teacher teaching, he must have a lot of money, living in a very nice building, I'm living in a small rooms, 5-6 rooms are there, because that is the so-called director's residence. So I'm supposed to be director, whatever they give me, I live there. And the walls are full of cracks everywhere. Monkeys are jumping on the rooftop, which is made of this iron sheet, Ding, 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 ding. So I've been, practicing my patience for the last 20 years. Right? So what was...
You were saying nobody can get enlightened in one lifetime.
Not just that. What was the immediate thing that I was saying?
Even when you're living alone.
Distracted.
Huh?
Distractions. Distractions.
People are so
We go slow.
generating good karma when you're
Distraction, yeah. I lost the thread a little bit, but anyway. Distraction, yes. Distraction. So, that's the point, distraction. So, I was saying that even in my case, live alone, When you live alone, you don't have children, you don't have wife and others, you should be really concentrating for your study practice. So the point that I'm making is, even there, unless you make some effort, it's so amazing to see that you have endless things to do in these few small rooms. Washing your plate, washing your clothes, sweeping and cleaning the dust, checking your mobile. And going to the next room, watching the movie in bed. It's endless. And when you do this small, meaningless, distracted, things that distract you, you have no idea how the time goes. So unless you make some effort, So interestingly, in one room I have really full of books. So that really invites me, come, Geshe Lhakdor, come. Don't spend too much time over there. So you gradually pick up the habit, you see. So the point that I'm making is, unless we make some effort, and that effort will not come just by saying, I will make effort. That effort will come when you sense some urgency in your life. That's why we are talking about death is definite, time of death is indefinite, you see. And what is it that is of use to you and to others at the time of the death? When you start thinking about this, then you start thinking, okay, now, what is it that is very important for you? What is that which is maybe needed a little bit, but not so important, things like that. Then hopefully you can do something. Right? So that's important. Okay, next. Yeah.
A little question about
Yeah.
not.
Yeah.
If nobody can get enlightened in one lifetime, but some people get enlightened, how, is there are there
Some people
circumstances that people are born in? Are there certain kinds of people? How can you sort of make the case that people are getting enlightened? Because in one lifetime it must happen to some people.
In one lifetime, but it is a cumulative effect
Right.
of having worked for many lives.
Right.
Every life better, then gradually
Then,
get
but within
enlightened.
a lifetime.
Now, one lifetime means you start from scratch.
Okay.
In this lifetime, that's not possible.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes.
So when thinking about karma,
Yeah.
the sufferings and the result of the negative actions,
Yeah.
how can we really help someone if their suffering is due to their own karma? How can we help them?
No, you cannot say it's your karma. Go to hell. Because even though it is karma, their karma. Very good question. What should be the answer? Huh?
Become the bodhicitta. All karma is related. So if you do more positive karma, it will also reduce his negative karma.
Okay, any other answer?
What is the question?
The question he has asked is, if the suffering one is experiencing is a result of his or her own karma, how can you help that person?
Sorry,
But are you not helping?
In other words, what he's saying is, through your help, can you really reduce his suffering?
maybe in a
That's why he's asking this. He's asking a very important question. He's asking, if he does something, then the result he has to experience. How can you help him reduce his suffering?
Inspire him.
Are you not helping others for yourself?
Huh?
Are you not helping others for helping yourself? It's always selfish, right?
No. He's not asking.
I know.
He's asking the question, can you really reduce his or her suffering?
Depends what the
You
problem is.
If that is possible, then isn't this violation of the law of causality, karma? Because he has produced that negative karma and he is suffering, so he has to suffer somehow. How can you intervene and then,
But if karma is not a permanent, solid thing, he will be experiencing the suffering, but you could try to help alleviate the suffering. You can't reduce it.
Then what is how can you explain this statement by the Buddha?
Impermanence.
I can remove your suffering with my hand.
Right.
But then you can still inspire the person to then discover methods that purify themselves. So by helping him or by showing compassion to another being, that being sees that compassion and might get the spark and then start to change something within.
Yeah, the reason I asked you instead of me answering the question, this is a very important question. And your answer is very good. Because I also did not have an answer right away. I was thinking. trying to be clever. And I can give an answer like that, but it's important to think. So, by having people helping him reduce his suffering, he will also start thinking, you see. This may be my result of my bad karma. Bad karma means not necessarily coming from past, result of my drinking too much, whatever. So now you get inspired, then you start thinking, oh, now I should not do this. It will change. So it is true. That's why we already read that out of all types of giving Dharma teaching, giving education is the best thing. So by showing the right path, this person will start also thinking of reducing his negative deeds in the future. So that will help him lessen the fruit of suffering. Yeah. Okay?
Is the answer for opponent was by helping him reduce his, helping him, can I be reducing my karma, whatever I have done?
Negative karma, yes, of course.
Is that a possibility?
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you for enlightening us about the enlightenment. Who decides? The enlightenment is decided by oneself, who is the seeker of enlightenment. What are the yardsticks for that?
Yardstick is because somebody had already traveled, as I mentioned. Somebody had already traveled on that path. Like for example, in the case of the Buddha. In the beginning he was also like you and me, experiencing all the sufferings of age, sickness, death, everything. And he was clever, intelligent enough to ask the question, what are the causes of this aging, the suffering, the sickness, the death? When we read the teaching on the Four Noble Truths, I will explain this more. Two things he really saw. He saw people running for happiness, not getting enough. He saw people trying to shun from suffering, but they're not getting enough. So then he started thinking, if suffering is something that people don't want, and if happiness is something people want, is there a cause or causes for suffering, cause and causes for happiness? If there is a cause for suffering, since they do not want suffering, why don't they identify the cause and reduce it, and if possible eliminate it? If they want happiness, why don't they go for the cause, cultivate the cause for happiness, and have happiness? Why don't they do it? So it is through his reflection of this very famous teaching on the Four Noble Truths came into being. And it's through this process and then gradually practicing the higher paths of compassion, love, bodhicitta, enlightenment, wisdom, understanding, shunyata. He was able to see, yes, not only we can reduce suffering, but we can reach a state where there is no suffering. Not only that your mind can become completely, free and omniscient. So this is based on his own personal journey. So here in our case, we may not, as I already mentioned, it may be very difficult for us to digest this teaching. If you don't think, okay, enlightenment, omniscient, okay, possible. But if you think carefully, it is not that easy. But the only consolation, at least for me, is that the unique feature of the mind is, if you train the mind, it can develop to a limitless state of positivity. So that at least encourages you to keep on moving forward and become happier and more peaceful. That is possible. That's possible. Because at the end of the day, even to our common sense and common parlance, we know that at the end of the day, how much you suffer, how much you get happiness is primarily dependent upon your perspective, the way you look at things. So the solution is there with you, not outside. Outside interferences, obstructions, all these things are there. But despite of all this, if your mind is really, attuned and prepared, nothing can harm you. Nothing can harm you. I mean, we need to reach that state. Because, for example, I give you an explanation. There was a great Bodhisattva. In his prayer he says, if I am going to die today, in his prayer he says, if I am going to die today, it's wonderful. It's wonderful because I'm not going to continue to live, creating suffering and problem of others. So it's wonderful if I die today. But he's not pessimistic. In the same vein, he says, if I don't die today, live very, very long life, it's wonderful. Because then I'll continue to live long and continue to help many people. It's attitude, you know. Then there's another person who says, if there is rain, he says, wonderful. In Tibet, for example, Tibet is in a huge land with a small population. So sometimes you confront robbers, you know, on the highway. So if it's raining, then the practitioner will say, it's wonderful, it's raining. Now I will not meet any robbers on the way. You see? So this way of seeing everything in the positive light, you don't suffer. And then they say, one of these teachers, he makes a mockery of this word suffering. He says, what is this thing called suffering? I have been talking about happiness, suffering, so forth. This teacher said, what? Suffering, what is it? By that he is saying, it's how you see things. Suffering is how you see things. You see? And when our mind is not trained, we only see the shortcomings, the problems, difficulties, the fears, you know. You're complaining with everything. And you do this because you think you are the one who should judge everything. You know, okay, this tree is crooked, this flower color is not so good. You complain everything. So at the result is you feel unhappy. Right? Yeah.
If you start doing positive actions, but with the temptation of accumulative karma, that's little contradictory. If the purest nature is to be positive, what is your view on that?
Here the quotation from Bhagavad Gita, do your work and give the result to the court. So good practitioners, although they want happiness, they don't have attachment for the fruit. They know that by doing good, I want happiness, I want good result, good experience, so I do it, that's okay, but that's not clinging. That's the difference. So without expecting, you do good practices without expecting. For example, giving, practice of generosity. You give it. You give $100, not thinking that if I give $100 to him today, next time he might give me $200. Not like that. As I mentioned the other day, there was a Tibetan teacher who said he has given so many teachings, but never expected even a thank you in response to his teachings. And the reason he said is because there's nobody who is not suffering. So these great teachers, they get more happy when they are able to give something, not because when they are able to get something. It's like mother. If you are unable to understand this, then take the example of mother who really loves a small kid. She will be happy giving things to the child and not taking something from the child because of love. Love minimizes fault. Right?
There's an interesting paradox, however, in the spiritual path whereby it begins from a place of I want something.
Yeah.
For example, I want to stop suffering.
Yeah.
But however, as one continues to walk the path, that desire starts to transmutate from a desire for self into a desire for others. It kind of morphs from individualism into a holistic collectivism, but it does begin with the individual looking at myself, why am I suffering, why is this happening to me, etc.
Yeah, when we use the word desire, not necessarily negative. There are positive desire, negative desire. The desire, the wish to become Buddha, the wish to help others is positive. The desire to harm others, the desire to exploit others, the desire to earn money, or desire to do things just for oneself is a negative desire. So not all the desires are, negative. Yeah, if you don't have that desire or the impulse to do something good, you will not make a move. Yeah.
If I, like as an individual self, don't have inherent existence, then what is it that migrates to the next life?
I told you, the other day I told you, make a distinction between inherent existence and existence. Existence is there. Inherent existence is not there. Because existence is there, because you exist. Therefore you need to do things. This is very important, good question. Many people, not only people, but in the Buddhist philosophical tradition, some of the philosophical traditions have difficulty making this distinction, existence and independent existence. Because they think if things exist, it should exist independently. If things don't exist independently, they should not exist at all. So therefore they fall either into the extreme of nihilism. If things don't exist independently, they should not exist at all, they fall into nihilism. If things exist, they should exist independently, you fall into extreme of permanence. So therefore the Buddha taught the middle way. Things exist, but don't exist independently. That's very important concept for understanding emptiness. Very important. But easier said than done. If you really think how we exist is very difficult to understand, the illusion, The other day I mentioned about the slippery notion of the self. Very slippery, anything. But still they are there. It's watching a movie. It's there, they are playing, you can enjoy. But can you talk to them? Can you catch them? Things like that, you see. Even when you use metaverse, you can enter into it. Almost, for me, I don't know much, but this is what I heard. With the use of metaverse, maybe artificial intelligence, you can create this feeling that now I'm a Tibetan. I'm not allowed to go to Tibet, but with the help of metaverse and artificial intelligence, they create something where I can see that now I book a room in whatever palace and meet some of the Tibetans, enjoy my dinner, lunch there. You get this kind of feeling with certain instruments. But for me, that is just deception, not reality. Right? Okay? Yes?
Is there a concept of free will in Buddhism?
Yes. You came to this teaching by your free will.
There is free will?
Yes, that's why I'm saying. You came to this teaching through your free will.
Because there's, so it's in destiny, right? Hindu culture there's the concept of destiny.
Destiny depends upon what do you mean by this English word, but we all, in one sense, have a destiny, but we are not, destined or destined. How do you pronounce? Destined. You are not destined. That as I mentioned, there is no fatalistic version of the karma. That your fate is decided. There's nothing you can do. There is no such concept. To some extent, yes, the force of karma and force of other contributing factors play a big role, but that does not mean that you are caught completely helpless. Not easy, but still you can move your hands and legs, get free. Yeah.
So we have heard of miracles happening in some people's lives. So what kind of karma they create that the miracle?
Miracle, it depends on what do you mean by miracle.
Like a Slumdog Millionaire like movie we have seen, and even Amitabh Bachchan, he had a big downfall and Kaun Banega Crorepati turned out to be a miracle for him.
Yeah.
So
that's what I'm saying. What do you mean by miracle? Miracle means some happening which your ordinary mind could not understand. That's miracle. So such a miracle is happening all the time in our life. So there's nothing called a miracle actually, in one sense. Right? Because for example, Einstein, he said, with my limited knowledge, limited effort, I am able to achieve something which others could not. So therefore they think I am a miracle. Therefore they think, even many people even think me as a superhuman. But he said, there's nothing, you should also make that effort and you will reach that stage also. So there are many things which we don't know. Then because we don't know, they say, for example, there's a lightning, a miracle. Right? There's a hailstorm. Who made those round balls of hail? Miracle, you see. But when you understand how things come about, there's nothing miracle. Yeah.
Man has a question.
Yeah. Where?
Yeah.
Earlier you had said that the capacity to develop the mind is limitless, right?
Limitless, yes.
So how can we refer to the Buddha as fully awakened, fully this, or fully that?
I expected that question. I expected that question. What is your answer? Even Amitabh Bachchan in his Kaun Banega Crorepati, there's a line. I should also have that line, Next time I request the organizers to have few people, surrounding me, and I call them. Yeah. Yeah. So the answer is, until you become completely enlightened, you can develop your mindless to a limitless state until you become completely enlightened. If I refine my statement, that's the point I'm making. If you're completely enlightened, then there's nothing to know.
So it's kind of contradictory in nature then.
I don't think so. If that's why I'm refining my statement. Yeah. It doesn't mean that even when you become Buddha, still you make progress. No, because there's nothing to progress.
I've got a question. I think it's going back to the question on destiny.
Yeah.
The story I've heard of was when Buddha was born, it was predicted he's going to become Buddha.
Yeah.
Which is why his parents kept him away, trying to keep him become a king.
Yeah.
So something really interesting question, maybe going back to that free will versus destiny.
Yeah. So that's why I said, it doesn't mean that you are, bound by certain, thing and you are completely, helplessly caught there. That is not the meaning. But having said that, because of your past karmic, forces and other contributing factors, environment, we find ourselves very difficult to change. So there it is really, it really looks like you are distant. But even there, if you think carefully, it is not that you can't make an effort, you can't, change. So therefore, there is still free will.
There were two options for the Buddha as well. There were two options for the Buddha. He could have become Buddha or become the king.
Yeah.
Geshe Lhakdor, this might be quite helpful because I've studied the question of free will from the Western philosophical perspective and also from the Eastern. I realise sometimes the same word is being used and sometimes there's a debate about it, but it's a false debate sometimes.
Yes, yes.
Because from the Western point of view, it's coming, the question of free will is coming from a position independent of causes and conditions.
Yes.
It suggests that there is an I that's a separate self-existent entity which is capable of doing things beyond all causes and conditions.
Yeah.
That's usually where the Western question comes from. And then when I once heard from a Swamiji, he can immediately tell who's from the West because when they use the terminology free will.
Yeah, true. Most of the terms we are using come from West. Yeah, true. But the fact is, as I mentioned a little bit earlier, when I mentioned when I mentioned about the limitation of material physical objects, there I mentioned even when we say you should work hard, you can make unlimited progress. This is wrong. Because since the field where you are going to make this development, the field itself is limited. You are talking about developing material progress. Material progress can never be unlimited. Because you are dealing with finite, limited material objects. Yeah.
The reason why I brought up the free will question is there's a neuroscientist called Robert Sapolsky at Stanford. He has recently written a book called Determined, and in that book he says there is no free will. He says, for example, I think he's going back to the ancient concepts. He's saying that I have no choice. A child has no choice whether he's going to be born in Palestine or whether in America. He has no choice who his parents are going to be. There's no choice there. And if a child is born in Palestine, that child is going to suffer because of the conditions of that. Whereas a child is born in the US, there's going to be prosperity or something. So it's a wonderful book. I mean, it's coming from neuroscience today. And that's one of the reasons how I'm conflicted.
Yeah. But still there is just one aspect of explanation. You may have no free will to be born in what called particular family, but once you are born in that family, you have certain choices. Whether go to school, not to go to school. Again, of course, it's debatable because even like Rajneesh, he says, where is freedom for children? They're all tailored by the parents. Go there, don't go there, eat this, don't eat this. Then when they're a little bit grown up, they are shown the direction by the teachers. So it's a little bit debatable. But having said that, we do find people, coming out, showing their own identity, their capacity. So, yeah.
There is a middle way in
Exactly.
Vedanta.
Yeah.
The terminology is Purusharth and
Purusharth, yes.
And Prarabdha. Prarabdha is destiny. By free will and wholesome actions, the Prarabdha can be changed.
Well, then, as I mentioned, also this English word destiny, if you use this word destiny as an object, where you can reach, everybody can reach. If you're talking about a state where you're bound, you can't do anything, there's another meaning. It depends on the meaning. Yes.
Just wonder what you think about the saying that, like, basically there is free will and everything is possible within the causes and conditions. I find it is like the middle way.
Yeah, within the causes and conditions. Yes, you are very clever. Within the destiny, you can do many things. Yeah.
Your answer to the driver there, when you were saying that training your mind is limitless until you reach enlightenment.
Yes, better, yeah.
How is that not contradictory? I feel like I'm missing something.
Contradictory in what sense?
Because you're saying it's limitless until you get to a certain point,
Yeah.
and then it stops, which is...
Yeah, because what you two were asking me was, when I said limitless, you started thinking that there should be nobody, even the enlightened Buddhas, they should also have space for more development. That's what you are thinking. But I was explaining it within a context. The context is that until your mind is fully developed, unless the material, opposed to the material object, material things, because their very nature is limited, so therefore there's limitation. Mind is not like that, in that sense. I don't know whether in that sense or not. Anyway, I want to eat. Enjoy your lunch. Thank you.